Let's talk about the Legend of Chima Ultrabuild sets. These construction figures are one of the coolest offshoots of CCBS, and I feel like we just don't talk about them enough. After all, some of the pieces in these sets are incredibly unique and incredibly cool. So let's review one of these Chima sets and see if it's any good, as well as also give you some inspiration for how you could use some of the pieces in these Chima sets for your own LEGO MOCs. Let's go. There are some really solid sets in the multiple waves that make up all the Ultrabuild Chima sets. We got Cool Wolf Dude with some great fur pieces. We got Eagle Chick with the weird looking wings. We also have Panther Guy who has an awesome head mold. And we've even got Elephant Dude with a posable trunk. Lots to love. But for now, let's focus on Laval. No, not Lion-O from Thundercats. Laval from Chima. This character has two Ultrabuild sets. One has his sort of like normal form, and the other one is him, but with fire powers. That's right, he's a humanoid lion with fire powers. Not to be confused with the aquatic crocodile with fire powers, who's fighting in an ice world. Dang. Anyway, Chi Laval's fire form has what most of this wave has. A pretty cool, unique looking head, as well as some really cool armor, and a fairly stock standard humanoid body design. So while I'm only reviewing one set in the entirety of the Chima wave today, most of the points that I'm going to make about Laval kind of stand for the rest of the figs as well. So in regards to posability, Laval poses fairly well, but not really in any sort of like extraordinary way. It's just kind of how you'd expect it to pose. That said, his big old head does sometimes butt up against his armor, which does limit a little bit of the posability of the head. But with that said, I don't think this is a problem with the other Chima sets, just the ones with big old heads. Still, all of these unique Chima heads are, well, they're interesting. You don't really see them being used too much in MOCs. But here are some examples of them being used actually rather well. The first MOC with a cool use of the Chima head is by Kelvin Lowe, and it's called Crocodile Warrior. So yeah, actually, hey, it works quite well here to see Cragger's head being used as just the head, crocodile head on this Crocodile Warrior dude. So sometimes I think that's a great alternative. You know, some of these heads had actual like kind of posability. You know, the jaw on Cragger could lift up so he could roar and bite down and stuff. So sometimes it was just a perfect alternative for the head. And I think Cragger's head is one of the better ones there. It definitely looks realistic and has a very distinct look to it that works really, really well. So that's a nice use of it for sure. We also can see on this MOC by Matt Goldberg called Tactical Wolf, we can see one of the wolf heads being used here, which is cool because this one has a more sort of aggressive look to it here and is a little bit kind of cartoony, and sort of the general look of this character does seem a little bit more like a sort of caricature or, you know, a bit more of a kind of parody character, I suppose you could say, for lack of a better term. But, you know, he looks cool. He's got a big old gun, and it seems surprisingly fitting for this head. So, two cool examples there that use the heads in actually a pretty cool fashion. So there's still a use for these pieces. By no means are they just entirely useless, but I feel like they're a little bit similar to some of the Star Wars Ultrabuild heads. They're really cool, they're unique, but they can be a little bit restrictive because sometimes they do have that really specific or kind of like cartoony look. And honestly, sometimes, hey, maybe it's just way easier to just build your own custom head. Kind of like on this MOC here. This is a MOC by Sergei Rahkmaninoff, and this is called Emblem of Freedom. So we can see a fantastic sort of eagle head here that's using some system pieces for the beak, a Nuva shoulder for the top of the head there, and some other system pieces to make up the rest of the details. It's a fantastic looking eagle head. But maybe, hey, you could have just used the eagle head from this specific Chima set here. And yeah, maybe it would have worked either way, but I feel like sometimes by doing a sort of custom head like this, you can really kind of customize it to the specific needs of your MOC. But I think these heads are a great alternative just as a sort of one and done deal. You don't have to put all your effort and energy into making it look super accurate and stuff like that, and getting all these different pieces and shaping it beautifully. You can just slap this head on and it works pretty well. So two different alternatives for how you could do a sort of animalistic head like that. But hey, these Chima heads, pretty cool. But if we want to talk some of the best heads from some of these Chima sets, let us look no further than these two specific headpieces. This set is called Sir Fangar, and this head is just called Panther. Well, not the head, the actual set itself. Very unique name. But don't worry, the E is an A, so there is a subtle difference. Regardless, though, These are two pretty cool looking sets, but those heads, they look fantastic. Let's take a look at these heads being used on some actual MOCs here. This is a MOC by Alieraah called Talisman, and we can see the headpiece working very nicely here. It has this beautiful sort of animalistic quality to it, and seeing it combined with this sort of like great hunched over, sort of like kind of almost like feral look to this character, it really adds a lot of character to this character. Great to see that headpiece being used so very well there, and there's just something about it. It just looks better than all the others. I don't know, it's cool. And then we can see on this MOC here by Pohaturon called Yee Naaldlooshii, however you want to pronounce that. This makes for a great sort of like tribal look where they've sort of almost like skinned this sort of saber-toothed tiger and kind of wearing it as this sort of like ornate sort of clothing of sorts. And it's a fantastic looking design. So it's really cool to see that with these two different heads here, you could actually sort of separate the jaw from the top of the head and use the two different pieces codependently on your MOCs there. So a lot of really cool uses that you can get out of some of these head pieces. And like you can see here, some are a bit easier to use than others, but man, they create some really unique results. Heading back to Laval now, we can see that he comes with two fantastic weapons. His sword has these two like axe head looking pieces, which just look so awesome. I mean, look at these like brilliant kind of curves and the patterns on it and everything. They're just so unique. He also has this beautiful shield, which has this awesome phoenix print on it, and I just love this piece. So many characters like Wonder Woman, even Captain America, or Link from Legend of Zelda, they've got the cool kind of unique pattern on their shield, and it can be so like key to their character. So it's really nice to see a beautiful print like this that can allow you to add so much character to some of your own unique MOCs. For example, here's a MOC that Patrick Biggs built that uses, well, it sort of kind of uses the same shield piece. Of course, this one doesn't have the printing, but on the description here in Flickr, Patrick said he wished he could have used that Phoenix piece, but he just couldn't find it. And I'm sure you can picture it here on this shield. It would have looked very nice, especially in combination with his red and gold armor there. That would have been the little sort of piece de resistance to really just kind of cap this MOC off. Yeah, really nice to know that that shield piece could just make your MOCs look so much more beautiful. And then additionally, we have a MOC here that uses another sort of ornate shield piece. I believe this is from a Ninjago set, so not the same shield we were looking at before. But we can see these axe head pieces are being used here to create a very awesome Viking axe. So lovely to see both of those weapon pieces being so versatile and can be used across a wide variety of different things. We also have some awesome looking armor parts. These like kind of shoulder pad pieces are gorgeous. They've got this brilliant sort of curve and flow to them. I think it's just perfect for some sort of royal knight fancy looking armor. And I think the same can be said for some of this torso armor as well. I love how this thing looks. The fact that you can kind of insert this Zamisphere into the center there and give them this sort of awesome like arc reactor or heart light, whatever you want to call it. It's just such a great design. Once again, we can see this piece being used on a few different MOCs here. This one here is by IGU and it's called Scorpion King. So we can see that piece being used as this sort of interesting kind of foot design here, but also as this really cool eye design. So the Zamisphere sort of becomes an eye and it just creates a very unique looking head design. We also have some of these like vulture heads that are being used here as like a scorpion sort of stinger at the edge of the tail there. And it's also being used as kind of the feet on this MOC as well. And it's a surprisingly unique and really cool design there. So great to see more uses for those very unique head pieces here. And additionally, I used some of these armor pieces on a MOC that I myself have made, and I was aiming for this sort of real sort of like fancy, sinister, evil-looking character, very similar to Jafar from Aladdin, and using some of those unique pieces to create cool shoulder pads or sort of like a flowing almost sort of skirt at the end there, and then having that beautiful-looking torso piece slapped on the front there. I don't know, to me, I think that created very distinct look for armor. They're certainly very versatile pieces. Additionally, you get a healthy supply of some trans-orange claws on Laval here, which, yeah, hey, that's pretty cool. You also get some snazzy-looking leg armor pieces in dark red, which have this incredible kind of print on them. It's sort of a bit more of a kind of like subtle print that I think is really easy to apply on sort of multiple different MOCs. It's not sort of too specific that it's kind of hard to use. It's just sort of a good all-round print there. So that's a very welcome addition in this set. So all in all with these Chima sets, I think they have some really diverse and distinct pieces. I think the armor parts are very much the standout for me. I think they're some of the coolest, most unique parts that look like nothing else that you get in any sort of Bionicle or Hero Factory set. Each of the other Ultrabuild sets have their own unique sort of standout pieces as well. So it's nice to know that if you pick up any Chima Ultrabuild set, you're gonna get some kind of fun piece to play with. And honestly, I think that's kind of my overall thoughts on this whole wave of Ultrabuild Chima. They've got really unique pieces, and it's just such a fun concept. I almost wish LEGO had made more construction waves for other themes that they've made. You know, things like Ninjago, that would be so cool to see some construction-style figures of Ninjago characters. Even something like Monkey Kid, I think, could very much benefit from something like that. So, man, there's a lot of possibilities there, and I really wish they'd done something like that, or maybe did something like that today. It's always possible. I guess we'll have to see what happens in the future. Anyway, thanks for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed, and hey, maybe you can pick up a Chima Ultrabuild set yourself on Bricklink or eBay or wherever you want to shop. I'll be posting some more Bionicle Hero Factory or other construction reviews very soon, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now.